We're at that time of year again, when the current iPhone starts to feel less like the future and, well, more like the past. The iPhone 16 Pro is about to close out its life cycle, and we are just days away from seeing the iPhone 17. And as we look at the rumors and what to expect, I'm starting to ask the question again of what does Pro really mean? I've been using the iPhone 16 Pro since day one. This is the main device I use for all of my content creation, for work, and for consumption. But this is not the first Pro phone I've used. Ever since Apple introduced this naming scheme, the Pro has been my phone of choice. And that's for a few different reasons, all of which kind of signified a elevated version of the iPhone, a phone that lets you do more with it. And I still think that is mainly the case here with the iPhone 16 Pro. But as we look forward to the next generation, that's where the line starts to get a bit blurred. The Pro is seeming to be more and more of just a name, and the features that you get with it are starting to get smaller and smaller. Now, this whole idea of the Pro phone not really being Pro, that's nothing new. Ever since Apple introduced this name, that's the sentiment a lot of people have had. But there's a few reasons why I stick to the Pro device, especially with the iPhone 16 Pro. Now that it's been almost a year with this device, I've really known what's great about it and what is really not that important. And the Pro features continue to be the reason why I choose this phone. When looking at the iPhone 16 Pro, there's really three things about it that differentiate it from the rest of the line. For me, that's camera, first and foremost. Second is the design and the build. And then third is the processing power. And that's kind of the importance that I place on each of them. For me, the camera is absolutely the reason why I choose this phone. And it's the reason why I choose an iPhone year after year. Now, this year with the 16 Pro, Apple didn't do a ton of, revolutionary work with the camera. Now, on the hardware side of the camera, there was really only two new features, and they really didn't turn out to be all that big of a deal, at least for me in my case. First is the 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And well, that is a very nice feature to have. I'm glad I have it, but it didn't change or revolutionize anything for me. I'm still just using the ultra wide when I need it. But what really turned out to be a pretty big disappointment for me was camera control. Not because it didn't work or that what was promised didn't come, but I've just really never used it. And it became more of an annoyance rather than a feature. It was something I would always accidentally hit. I had to go into settings to make it, a double tap instead of a single tap to activate. And even that turned out to be a little much, so I turned it off altogether eventually. Because the iPhone, honestly, half of the marketing around it is the camera, you would think that camera control would be a big deal. And maybe the person out there exists that uses it all the time, but every time I ask, I don't really know anyone that has used this as their main way of taking photos. That could change. I'm not saying it's a horrible idea. It's just not something I ended up using. But this is a feature you can get on every iPhone 16, so it's not an exclusive feature for the Pro, but this was one of the reasons to get the 16. It just ended up not being a big deal for me. But those two features aside, really, still the main reason why I love the camera system is because of the quality you can get from it. These are some of the photos I have taken on the iPhone, and the quality here is, I still think, just unmatched. Shooting in ProRAW means I can, edit the photos after and get just a better look or a better style that I prefer. And I can also get, third-party apps that let me shoot fully in RAW, which lets me get even more control over my photos. That's just something you can't really do, or at least not as easily, on the regular iPhone. Now, certainly, this is a software limitation. It's something Apple could turn on if they wanted, but they don't. So this is something that if you want, you're gonna have to get the Pro. But really what has made a huge difference in my general day-to-day life is video recording. Having ProRes log video on your phone that actually looks great has been a game changer. And it's something I use all the time for content creation. Now, granted, if you are someone that doesn't make videos for a living or don't really care about what the videos look like, this is not a big feature. But I would consider, considering I make money from videos like this, that is a professional feature that I actually use and put to use. And it's probably the main reason why the iPhone is still going to be my camera of choice, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, the second most important differentiator to me is the build quality. So this has a titanium frame, which has held up really well. I've mostly used this without a case. There are a few dings here and there. And speaking of, this is the Q3 Air from Taurus, who's today's video sponsor. They sent over some of their cases to check out for the iPhone. And when it comes to functionality and durability, these things are packing a ton. Taurus is the #1 brand of MagSafe cases. And so if you're in the market for a case, this is probably the first place to look. Now, like I said, I don't really use cases all that often, but when I'm out and about in nature, that's when a case does serve a purpose for me. But when I'm choosing one, I want two main things. I want them to be durable, but I also want it to have some features, and that's exactly what the Q3 Air is delivering. On the durability side, there's two main things to consider here. One is that it has this 100% air dynamic cushioning system built in on the corners, and this is actually inspired from like Nike Air Max shoes. And well, of course, if you're looking at a case, you want it to protect it in the event of a fall, and that's exactly what this is here for. Think of it like an airbag in your car, but for your phone. These are reinforced, they provide triple impact resistance. So this is perfect for carrying your render phone, not only for every day, but especially if you're out in nature. You know that if your phone does drop, which has been known to happen, it should be protected. But hopefully you don't ever actually drop your phone though, because it has a dot matrix grip built into the case itself. So it gives you an anti-slip resistance. So when you're holding the phone, it doesn't feel like it's gonna slide out of your pocket or your hand. Plus, it looks pretty good as well. And this case comes in a few different colors. I've got two here. But what's nice is that this actually gives you customization. So if you see these buttons here, you can actually change these out to different colors so that you can, customize your case to look the way you want. But probably my favorite feature is this, the 360 spin kickstand. It's built right in, it rotates, it's got a nice sound when you do it. And this lets you not only hold your phone with a better grip, but also prop your phone up in any orientation that you want. And this thing has been tested thoroughly, so you can open and close it as many times as you want, and it's gonna be just fine. And it's also strong so that it will hold up your phone, but not only that, it also magnifies your MagSafe ability. So if you have something you wanna stick on, it's gonna hold really solid there. But yeah, if you are in the market for a new case, well, this one gives you the protection that you want, of course, but also gives you a ton of functionality and features built in. So if you want to check it out, learn more for yourself, or pick one up, I'll leave links down below in the description. But yeah, like I was saying, the titanium build here is something that I really enjoy, and it makes the phone feel premium. It's got a nice heft to it. I think it works, and it's something that you can only get on the Pro. Plus, of course, you get other features like ProMotion display. The bezels are thinner now, meaning you get a slightly bigger screen at 6.3 inches. And you also get, theoretically a better battery life as well. I wouldn't say I've exactly experienced that though. And then the third category would be like the internals. So you get the A18 Pro, the performance that comes along with that. And this thing performs really well. Even a year in, there's absolutely no difference in the performance. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the Pro device, the iPhone 16 Pro is, well, the best that Apple has made. And the reasons for choosing it, I still think exist. But that is where I start to question things. Because if you look at the iPhone 17 series, well, the lines, like I said, are getting a little blurred. So this is what we expect the iPhone 17 Pro to look like. If you've been following tech rumors, then this is no surprise to you. It's been all over the place. But if you haven't, here's just a quick rundown. It's essentially the same idea of what we have with the 16 Pro, but with a few major changes. First is that it now has this rather large camera bar at the top that extends across the whole phone. We're still expecting to see the three main cameras, but now it's kind of just spread out. With this new camera system, we should hopefully get a better telephoto lens and just overall improvements across the board. And so that is one, big visual change here. The other change though, which is kind of interesting, is that instead of having a titanium build, it's going to be going over to aluminum. The same thing that the regular iPhone 17 is supposed to be built out of. So one of the main differentiators between the regular iPhone and the Pro iPhone is going away. Now it is going to be aluminum. Aside from that, really, there's not that much of an upgrade here. The other features are expected to stay similar. We're gonna have dynamic island, we're gonna have a ProMotion display, we're gonna have the internals with all the other software features that comes with. So it's very much like an iPhone 16 Pro with this new design. Not a bad thing, it's just, that's basically all we're expecting. But where it starts to sting a bit, I guess you could say, if you're someone that's in the market for the 17 Pro, is that the 17, the regular version, is getting a ton of Pro features this year, or at least bringing it up to par that it's very close. Now, unlike the Pro, the 17 is really not changing the design whatsoever. We're just expecting new colors. But if you look at the back, it looks like a 16, and well, it's not really going to change much. But there are some key differences here. Like I said, the aluminum is something that the Pro is going to be getting. So that means the build quality really probably isn't going to be all that different between them. That one feature that a lot of people tried to justify their purchase with is going away. way. Now, personally, I actually don't mind aluminum. It's very lightweight and it's still pretty durable and it doesn't feel bad in the hands or anything like that. But it is something that now is going to be equal between both these models. But I think the biggest one that is probably going to be taking sales away from the Pro model is that now we are expecting a ProMotion display on the regular 17 as well, which is long overdue. Granted, every single time the iPhone gets announced, there's comments everywhere about how it's 2024 and there's still a 60 hertz display. I get it. But it looks like that's finally going away and that 120 hertz ProMotion is finally coming. That's another feature that was really just exclusive for the Pro model. And with the iPhone 16, I mean, the camera system between the Pro and the regular is not all that different. The hardware that's built in is pretty solid on both devices. You get a 48 megapixel main sensor, you get your ultra wide. The only thing you're missing out on is a telephoto. And I know that if most people had to choose, they would go ultra wide over telephoto any day. So having that telephoto may not be that much of a selling point. And so that brings us back to the question of what does Pro really mean? Because if I can buy an iPhone 17 that has a ProMotion display, that has the same aluminum build, or very similar at least, that has a 48 megapixel camera, an ultra wide camera that looks great, that has the latest processor inside that maybe is clocked down a little bit more, but is still the latest generation. I mean, what else am I really lacking that the Pro is now going to give me? And really, it's all software. The Pro is very likely still going to be your only option for ProRAW and photos and for ProRes video if you care about that, which is, granted, something I care about. It's the main reason I use the iPhone, but for the vast majority of people, that's something they can easily live without. But here's the thing. I think Apple actually has a plan for this, and it's not with the iPhone 17, but rather the phone that comes after that, the iPhone 18 series. From all the rumors we are hearing, that is finally the year that the iPhone strategy is going to radically change in a bunch of different ways. This might be when the iPhone starts to feel special again, and when they can finally take on devices like this, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. I mean, when I think about what a premium Pro device feels like, this is it. Super thin. I mean, it folds, so it has a huge screen, but is completely usable without needing to unfold it. It has a great camera, great performance. I mean, everything about this screams professional, screams premium, and it is. I mean, this is probably my favorite phone of the last 5 years. And so with the iPhone 18 series, this is where Apple is expected to release their version, the iPhone Fold, whatever that ends up being called. And it should be very similar to what we see with the Samsung Fold 7. And so with this device, I mean, it can finally feel like Apple does make a Pro phone. Now, according to rumors, this is not exactly what it's going to be called. They're still going to be releasing regular 18 Pro and Pro Max models, but adding this on top, makes it feel like Apple does have skin in the game. This is also a year where we're expecting them to change the release cycle a bit, where they release the regular 18 and then the 18e, their more budget model, at a different time from when they released the Pro models with the Fold. We're still pretty far out from that, so those rumors, could change or be completely wrong, but we know that Apple is working on something like this. And so because of that, when I'm looking at the iPhone 17 series of phones, the Pro model is not where I would recommend most people look, at least as of now. This could all change when it announces, but as of now, it seems like the Pro is going to be the least desirable device. And so what I'm going to do is recommend that most people probably look at the iPhone 17. And for me personally, I'm going to be looking at that iPhone 17 Air, a phone that feels completely different from anything Apple has done before, super thin with a ProMotion display, a single camera, something somewhat minimal, but also futuristic. That's the phone I'm looking at for the 17. And then with the 18 series, maybe Pro is going to be more Pro again.